Hello everyone, welcome back to our video tutorial series, building a full stack application using Angular and NestJs. Today we will continue our work on our REST resource, and we will finish the CRUD operation for this resource. Now let's go back to our NestJs application and see where we stopped. We have created in the post controller the create endpoint that allows us to create new posts in our database. We also want now to add a new endpoint. Let's just copy paste this one. And we want a edit endpoint as well as a delete endpoint. Now for the delete, we will change the request type to delete. And for the post, we can actually keep, for the edit, we can keep the post method, but we can also change it to a put method. We also want, we want to provide maybe a additional parameter like ID, or we can keep it as it is without providing AID, but we can change the DTO that we handle to the REST endpoint to a new one. Let's just create a new one in our DTOs folder. Let's create a TypeScript file called edit post DTO. And now we can create a new, or let's just copy paste the create post DTO. It will be almost the same, with the difference that it will have a public ID. Field. Now, using this field, when we call our edit method from the client, the edit endpoint, we will provide a different DTO. This DTO will contain the ID by which we will find an entry in the database and update it. Now let's go to our post service and reflect the changes from the controller here as well. Let's create a edit and a delete method. Delete. As we already talked about the edit, this will be a different DTO. This will be a edit post DTO, and we change the type correspondingly. Edit post. Yeah, we need to change the interface, the class name as well. Yeah, good. Edit post DTO. Now, when we go to the repository description of the save method, we can see that it saves all given entities in the database. If entities does not exist in the database, then inserts new ones. Otherwise, it updates it. In other words, we can use the same method with the edit post DTO in order to update our entry in the database. Now it says that I have an issue here, and that's because the ID is of type number, not string. So in my edit post DTO, I have provided a wrong type for the ID. It should be a number, because this is what we have in our entity. This is our entity declaration, and the ID is a number. Good. Good that we are using TypeScript that has checked this type error and showed us a warning. Alright, now for the delete method, we actually don't need a DTO, because we want just we just want to delete a entry. Probably we want a post ID instead. Like that. Good. Let's see if we updated our, no, the edit method requires some changes as well. It requires a edit post DTO. That means that we will provide almost a similar object as the create post DTO, but there will be a ID field instead. Good. Now here we want to delete this here because the delete will just have a parameter, a route parameter. Now let's recap how the route parameters are handled in the documentation. Let's check the documentation. Let's go to controllers. Let's scroll down a little bit and try and find the, yeah, you see in the ID get, in the get method decorator, you can provide a parameter ID and then you can request it inside your method. Let's do this. So we will provide a ID and now we can request this using this decorator. Whoops. Params, and the params will have a type. We can provide actually a type. It should be actually a number like that. Now let's import. Whoops. Why is it? Oh yeah, it's param, not params. Good. Add the import statement, and now we can also change the name to post ID. And we will handle this to the delete method here. And here we will call the edit method. All right. Now there are some errors in the post series because we have this old create post DTO and we change it to the post ID like that. And we also need a different method. The method is delete. And now we need to provide the criteria. Let us just check the documentation and see the API for repository so that we know exactly how the delete method should be called. All right. So the delete entities, the deleted method accepts a entity ID. Good. So we actually did it. We have provided a post ID. And now it's arguing because we have a return value. We can actually look at the promise delete results. All right, so it returns a promise delete results, which is okay, which is not very good to be returned. So I think we can remove this and we can say that it returns void. Good. And we also can go here and remove the return type like that. Maybe we can actually do what, yeah, we can actually show. I'm not sure if it's a good idea to return the ID of return post, because what I'm thinking, we might need to update our list on the client side, but let's just actually remove this. we won't return anything. I think we can actually, yeah, all right. We'll test it, how it works, and if we need something, we can go back every time. Now let's restart the application. We should be good to go. All right. Now we will go to our blog application. We will add a new event handler in the post list here. Let's just close everything else. Close others. All right, so we want a public edit post method. Here we want to receive actually we want the actual post DTO object. Post DTO. Oops. Good. Now we can firstly console log the object itself. Now let's create a method here in the table. I think I want it to work if I click on a row. So we will open the edit post and we will provide we'll provide the row object here. Let's see what we have now. So I open the console. Let's click on a row, and here you see we are getting the post DTO. This is because this declaration of the variable means that this row will represent our post list item, which is a post DTO. Good. So we get here a post DTO. We have checked it. This is truly our post DTO, but we need to add some hints for the user that a row is selectable and clickable. We can do this really easy. Let's just see the markup and let's just try and bootstrap something. Let's say we want a different color, and let's start with gray and just adjust it. Something like that should be enough. Now we copy this. We see that we are working with the mat_row class, so we will change it. We will create here a new style sheet, call it post list, and it will be a SCSS file. Good. Now let's actually declare it in the component like that. And now we can create, well, actually let's wrap it, let's encapsulate a little bit the styles. So we are working in a post list component. Let's just create a wrapper here. This is our post list table. Now what we can do, we can say post list table ngd mat_row. Whoops. And here we can change background color. No, sorry. We can take it on hover background class, and now the cursor, we change the pointer. Let's just see how the table changes. Now you see we have an indication that the row is clickable and that it has well, the cursor changed on hover and the background is also changing. Good. Now let's actually move on to the edit logic. Let's firstly update our post service and post resource, because we have now a new method called public edit. It will receive a different DTO. Let's also change here they add a new DTO. TypeScript edit post DTO, export in. Oh, I have copied it, and let's say it's edit post DTO, and we add a ID here. This receives a edit post DTO. Whoops. And it returns actually a post DTO. Yeah. Now we will make a call to the Nest application using a put method. The URL is the same. It didn't change. Now we, as the body of the as the payload, we send the edit post DTO, because this might be our changed object, and we send it to the backend. And here is an error because we return a observable of type post DTO. Good. Now we change our service here. We will copy paste this. This is a edit post DTO. This is a edit post DTO. It returns a post DTO. This is correct, and like that. Good. So let's just check if everything works. We will check it inside our post list component. And first, let's just call the post list service post service. Oh, edit post. Let's just call this method edit post, and let's provide it to the post DTO. Now you see, TypeScript is not arguing because of types, because post DTO and the edit post DTO are actually same things. We can change the post DTO to edit post DTO because we want actually to open a dialog which will work with the edit post DTO, and where we can edit it and change it, and then we will send it back as we do with the create post method. But for now, let's just see if our backend is working correctly. Let's just see if we will get a response from it. Let's just console log it. Good. Remove this, rebuild the app, and open our console. Let's just click on something, and you see we've got a request, a put request. We've sent a payload, and we've got a response from the database. So in this term, everything is working well. Now let's create the edit dialog. Actually, oh, we have an error, post resource 25, post resource 25. Everything is okay. It looks like everything is okay. Maybe it's an old error. Let's just rebuild it. Yeah, okay, it should be number. And yep, no. Type of zero object is not assignable to type of zero post DTO. What is going on? Something is wrong here. we did actually, yeah, we did everything. Oh yeah, we need to show it that it is a post-DTO. Now it should be okay. It's because the return type of the put method is something different. I usually wrap the HTTP client in my own HTTP service and I use generic types. So I don't need to do this kind of operation, and actually wrapping a HTTP client inside your own will avoid possible issues if something changes in the HTTP client. So you will have just one place to change it. Anyway, let's go back to our post list component, and we actually already have a dialog. Where is it? Here, a create post dialog, and it actually is almost the same thing. It's the same form that we would use for a edit dialog. So why not reuse it? And I think we can reuse it. The only thing is we need to tell this dialog that first of all, it will receive a data, and second, if it receives some data inside it, like our post DTO that we want to edit, it should fire a different method. So let's check the documentation for Angular material. Let's go to components and we need dialog. Now let's go to the code example into TypeScript. And here you see, this is the example of a dialog. And we can actually, oh, I'm sorry, my phone. We can actually inject a data inside our dialog. Let's do this. Oops, wrong project. Let's go here. Let's do the import, and we will make it also private. We don't want this data to leak into the template. And the data will be, we'll make our own type, post DTO, which, yeah, is of type post DTO, like that. Right, something is missing. Something is missing. Okay, post DTO, yeah, that's correct. What is missing? Come on, I don't see what is missing. Oh yeah, there should be data, dialog data. Yeah, this is actually what we injected. Let's just try again. Yeah, and this will be post DTO, like that. Yeah, it will be actually a edit post DTO, like that. And now we can add a variable is editing, which will be by default false, but we need a interface on init, and now we can do the following thing. Good, and here we can say this is editing. Actually, yeah, this is editing equals this data. We can actually use a lodash method to avoid any issues. Oops, the method is get, and we say this data, and we will try to get the edit post DTO. So you might not know lodash, and it's actually a good library. It works with collections. It has a lot of interesting methods. In particular, this method avoids issues. For example, if we would use a different approach without Lodash, we would say this the data, and if we want to check if the edit post DTO exists, we would have to do this. First, we will check if the data is actually defined, and then we can check if the edit post DTO of the data object is defined. Now with the get method, it will avoid errors for if the data object would be undefined like that, and you are trying to access a field of a undefined, you would get a error in your console, and probably the execution of the code, the next code would be stopped. So get is actually avoiding those issues. It returns null or undefined instead. So, and if it's undefined or null, editing, well, the variable check would also fail because it's undefined or false or null. Good. Anyway, let's just keep it. Now, if get finds data, so editing would be not Boolean, but it would be the real data itself. We want to be it actually Boolean. Now we can do this. Now we can use a operator for this. If we do like that, then this whole statement would transfer into a false if we have some data inside it. Now if we do again, if we use this operator again, this whole statement will transfer into true if this edit post DTO has some data. So, and in other words, our is editing will equal to true if it gives some data to this whole dialog. We can now put a console log first for this editing to check if it's working correctly, and then for the whole data itself. And now we go to our post list component, and here in the edit post method we will create a new reference to a new material dialog. We will open, actually, let's see, while the create post method already describes what will happen if, okay, in this case it will push a new post, so it's actually, we don't want it. We want a different behavior, so we will work with the same create post dialog component. But the interesting part comes here. We will provide the same configuration for the width. It will be 600 pixels. But now we can provide data, and the data will be edit post DTO, and we send this edit post. Now we will remove this one, and let's just clean up. All right, it's it's a object literal shorthand TypeScript error. We can actually change it to edit post, and it should be gone because the naming was the same for the parameter for the method and this variable. Now let's actually see if it did work. Let's open the console. Let's click on something, and we get this dialog. We see that this is truly a edit dialog. We get the data, the post DTO. So we are ready to fill the dialog with editing data.